For the next 5 minutes or so, I'll introduce Kevin back up onto the screen. He's going to give you 3 tips to take away to consider in your business from a PR communications perspective. So hello again, Kevin.
Hi, Bradley.
We'll get straight into it, Kevin. So first tip, what have you got?
First tip is to always remember that it's not all about you in your communications. I'm old enough to remember when social media first came on the scene, and the beauty of social media was that people used it to share information and updates that they had seen that they thought their followers would be interested in. But somehow when corporate organisations got hold of social media, they just thought they were just going to use it to churn out messages about who they are and what they do all the time. Nobody wants to get stuck at a party with the person who just talks about themselves all the time. If you're a business, don't just talk about yourself all the time. Find other things to talk about, share information, engage with people. If you're just talking about yourself, people will switch off and they'll stop noticing what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And the second point, Kevin.
So the second one is to regularly write news and blog content about your activities. You know, when people Google what you are doing, you want to be there appearing at the top of their search. If you've not got a news page or a blog page on your website, I would really say, please go out and get something like that. If you've just got a website that's just static and just sitting there, you're never going to see the benefits of the opportunities that would come from regularly keeping the website updated. Even if it's just one page, you're updating it on a weekly basis with the latest bulletin from the business, some of the activities that you've been doing, some of the case studies that you've been working on, all of those sorts of things. A news and blog page on your website is absolutely crucial. So if you haven't got one, try and get one sorted out.
And I think on that note, Kevin, a lot of people may ask themselves, well, what do I write about? Where can I get the inspiration? But can you give a couple of examples of something that people can write about that could inform and educate people, that's not a selling message, that's not just them shouting about themselves?
Yeah. So don't use a blog to sell your services all the time. You know, in a way, that's kind of what the rest of your website does. So a blog really should be, talk about things that are going on in your sector rather than things that are going on in your business. There are opportunities to do news pieces about things that are going on in your business. Maybe you've won a new contract or a new client or a new employee. Yes, talk about those as news. But in blog content, talk about other things that are going on in your sector. So if you are in financial services, for example, talk about things that are going on in the stock market at the moment, or whether there are, what the financial outlook looks like, or those sorts of things. I know you can't offer advice if you're in financial services online, but there are other things that you could talk about. If you're a solicitor, talk about things that are affecting people right now in that sector. Maybe it's around having terms and conditions because they're starting up a new business. Maybe, all sorts of things like that. A blog should be a way of demonstrating your expertise and showing off that you are the expert in this sector and you are the person they should come and talk to.
And it gives a credibility to your website, of course. So go on to the last one, Kevin.
Yeah, so the last one, and probably this is the most important actually, in all of your output, you should start off by listening rather than churning out content onto your website or onto your social media feeds especially. You need to define who's your audience. Who are the people who buy your product, buy your services? They're the people that you really need to reach. So what are they saying at the moment? How do they react to the news? What do they do? What's their behavior like? You need to spend a bit of time listening and then frame your communications around what, your values, but what they're saying. So listen to what people are saying and listen to how they're behaving and what they're doing, and then make sure that your communications taps right into that, because that will tick some of their pain points. Perfect example is we work with a solicitor, a big law firm, and we saw a piece a couple of weeks ago that there was a rise in the number of, let's say, divorces, I think, as a result, or separations as a result of lockdown. So, that's what people have been talking about out in their sector. So, we start to do a little bit more work with them on just some of the work that they do around family matters and all that sort of thing. And just try to keep that communication going, because it's reflecting what their audience is talking about.
Sure. Would you say a good exercise for that would be around building sort of customer profiles and personas, and then tailoring your messaging to those different personas?
Yeah, absolutely. But, social media is great for listening as well. A lot of people, a lot of businesses especially, just use it to broadcast. All they do is just constantly chuck out their marketing messages. But actually use social media, build lists, look for your audience on social media, and just take the temperature of what they're saying, how they're behaving, what they're feeling at the moment. And once you've got a feel for what they're feeling like and how they're reacting, then your communications can reflect that. Remember, all of your communications, the hero of your story, the person you're trying to target all the time, is your customer. It's not all about you.
Absolutely. Great. Well, thank you very much, Kevin. 3 tips there, which we'll follow up from today's meeting for people to consider. And as always, we'll share your links and things like that. And if people want to have a conversation, Kevin will be in the room. So thanks very much, Kevin. Appreciate that.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Nice one.